again. Welcome everybody, or welcome back to Survivors with Rhythm. My name is Brianna. So today I've decided to do a video to discuss what I have decided to do with this lifetime as my purpose and my vision for creating positive change in humanity. I have been working for the past couple years to work toward restoring more of an overall balance in how we live our lives and focus more on restoring that feminine side of society that's kind of been suppressed for a very long time. But I didn't necessarily know exactly how to go about doing that or what my goals were in doing so over the past couple years. But I've come to realize, especially through my own healing journey and my own process of healing, what is needed in order for not just survivors, but everyone to really create a balanced and peaceful life for themselves. I learned that the most important thing that we all need as a society is emotional intelligence, and we need to improve our emotional well-being. This is because emotions are part of us, and even if society tries to tell us that emotions aren't manly, that a man shouldn't feel anything, that they shouldn't take emotions into account, or that women are too sensitive, or that women are a weaker sex because we are more in tune with our emotions. Um, we need to be able to stand within these emotions and be like, no, you know what? I'm allowed to be angry. I'm allowed to be happy. I'm allowed to choose a workplace that is more emotionally fulfilling, that I feel passionate about, over one that provides me with more money. I am allowed to be emotionally vulnerable. I'm allowed to have days where I feel upset with how someone spoke to me, or I'm allowed to feel angry or to feel sad at being bullied. I am allowed to feel these emotions. This is something that I am trying to work toward helping other people to do. And that is largely asking of me to be that emotional support, to be that person that sits there, that stands there and tells somebody, you know what, you are allowed to feel this way. You are allowed to feel anything, and you are allowed to express that. And if you in the moment feel sad, feel angry, feel upset, or feel like you need support in some way, I will be that emotional support for you. I will be that support that gives you permission to feel your emotions. Ultimately, this is something that you have to give yourself permission to do, but I am willing to be that until you have the strength to do it for yourself. And this is something that I have been working on. And another aspect of this, on how to improve this overall, is to learn positive, healthy outlets for negative emotions. This is not just anger, sadness, or um, feeling upset or depressed, but also the other side of negative emotions like stress. Stress is really big, especially nowadays with inflation and how expensive everything is and how inaffordable everything is. Stress is everywhere. Everyone is overly stressed right now, and it is very important to have healthy emotional outlets, because you need to focus on restoring this balance within yourself. And if you're stressed all the time, or you're tired all the time, or you're angry, or you're in a toxic workplace and it has taken its toll and it affected every aspect of your life, or you're not sleeping well, you need to find outlets for these emotions so you don't carry them with you or bear that weight forever or for a very long time. Because ultimately, it is not healthy to keep bottling up these emotions, to hold them within until one day you just erupt like a volcano or a cork on a wine bottle. You can't do this. Takes a real toll on your physical body. It takes a toll on the mind. It takes a toll on your heart, and it can really suppress the happiness and the peace within yourself. And so it's important to have these positive outlets. I remember having this conversation recently with somebody regarding what exactly are positive, healthy outlets for negative emotions. Um, I remember asking this on my Survivors with Their Own Facebook page one day, and someone had commented that one of their healthy outlets is batting practice, or like going to batting cages and taking out that frustration, or like someone else also said a rage room is very good for that, or axe throwing, or something that allows you to throw things at other stuff or to hit things with things. But something that I've really been thinking about, and something that occurred to me when they were mentioning this to me, is that actually is not a healthy outlet for emotions. And this is because you never know if one day you get so angry that on the other side of that bat is not a ball. It could easily turn into violence or abuse of some kind if that is your healthy outlet for anger or for sadness or depression. I'm not saying that everybody will do this, but it is a possibility. And this is something why I say that this is not a healthy outlet. Another unhealthy outlet that I would say is to take it out through sexually. Like, for example, if you're angry or you've had a conflict in your relationship or an argument, and you decide through this habit of using sex as a relief, that either it can lead to infidelity or it can really turn into sort of like a sex addiction, which is also unhealthy. And the same can be said about drowning your sorrows or numbing your emotions with alcohol or with other forms of substances like drugs, for example. This is why it's really important to establish healthy outlets and to understand what is healthy and what is negative. Because even if it seems healthy in the moment, you never know if that's going to turn into or lead to a situation that's even worse. And one of the things that I have personally done for negative emotions, and this was even before I consciously realized that is why I was doing it. For example, one of mine is singing. Singing has been a positive outlet and a healthy outlet for me to overcome my negative emotions like stress, anxiety, fear, depression, all of those things. Singing is very good for that. Not only because there's literally music out there in every single emotion, but also because like even the lyrics as well can portray out those negative feelings and kind of just flow them out of your body, and in a healthy manner, and a fun one at that too. Like, you don't have to be good at singing to enjoy it. Like, when I was in college and I suffered my 3 sexual assaults, the first 2 happened within a week, like within a week period, and this was my second year of college, my first semester. Then my second semester, which was only about a month and a half after these happened, I knew that I needed to take some fun classes in order to get myself through college, to get myself through the semester, because my home situation was full of child abuse and was unsafe. I knew I couldn't return, so I had to keep myself in school all year round. But I was dealing with overwhelming anxiety, and I was dealing with depression and PTSD. I was not in any good mental condition, but I decided, I'm like, you know what? I need a fun class to get me through this. And I decided to take, at OSU, it was called Beginning Voice, and it was a voice class with a small group of people, with like 10 to 12 people in the group. And we got together and we sang different songs from different genres throughout the semester. And this really helped me. This was the one class I was able to get myself to every week because of my condition and all the medications I was on to deal with these mental issues, and the fact that these mental issues destroyed my immune system, so I was also always sick. I rarely was able to force myself to class. I got through by reading notes online or by only going in for exams, but my voice class was one I went to. It was something that I didn't have to force necessarily to go to because I enjoyed it and it made me feel better. And that was because I got to sing out my depression. I got to sing out my anxiety. When I was afraid, I could sing and it would be that distraction. Like, singing for me was my healthy emotional outlet. I didn't realize it at the time, but now when I look back, I'm like, oh, okay, now this makes a lot of sense. And I continued to take more voice classes all throughout until I graduated. I had taken that group class multiple times because we were allowed to. I had also taken gospel choir, which I thought was very uplifting. That was a really fun class because I don't know if you're familiar with gospel music, but like the Southern style gospel was what we sang in that class, and it was very uplifting. Like, I am not Christian, I am not religious, but the music itself, just the mood, the rhythm, was very uplifting, and it was a fantastic outlet for my negative emotions. And then I had also taken private instruction as well. So like every option that I was allowed to take, not being a music major, I took, and I really loved it, and it really helped to where I was singing in class like 2 or 3 days a week, and then, you know, for fun I would sing in my apartment or in my house to prepare for these classes or just for fun. And I remember my roommates and I, my third year of college, would do karaoke all the time in the house. We would just turn on YouTube, choose karaoke songs, and we would sing. And this was really what got me through college. This and drinking tea. Tea is also another healthy outlet for me, just because, not because it's much of an outlet, but because it brought me a lot of peace. Well, I guess you consider it an outlet once it leaves your system, but really though, singing has always been my healthy outlet. But, you know, not necessarily do you only need one. A lot of people have more than one. And when I have been thinking lately, because I've been a lot more stressed and drained than usual, than I feel like I've ever been, just with the healing journey and the toll it takes, I have been trying to think of like other healthy outlets that I can do, or that I used to do as a kid, that got lost somewhere along the way. And I remembered I used to paint as a kid all the time for fun. Like, I used to have my own little easel and one of those like giant paint sets with the markers and the crayons and the pastel and the oil, you know, like everything in it. I used to have one of those sets, and I remember I used to paint. I used to be pretty good at it as a kid, but I actually just last week had ordered some watercolor paints off Amazon, along with, you know, like the painting paper and paintbrushes and things, because I decided, you know what, maybe I can get in touch with my inner child, or I can find painting as another positive outlet for my negative emotions, or just to bring me peace. So I decided last week that I would test this out, and I learned I really suck at painting. So it is something that I will do for fun. Not necessarily will I ever show people unless I somehow magically get good at it. But, I mean, it's still healthy of an outlet to sit there for a few hours painting something, even if it comes out looking like a kindergartner did it, which I'm laughing because that's how my painting came out. It looks like a kindergartner did it. But anyway, as you could tell, it was really a healthy outlet though for emotions, because, you know, say you're dealing with a lot of heartbreak and you feel abandoned and left out in the cold, then maybe painting yourself in an icy setting can help you portray that feeling in a way to where now it's on paper and not in your heart space. So not only singing or painting, but some other healthy outlets could be any of the creative arts. So journaling and writing, poetry, it could be drawing, pencil drawing, it could be colored pencils, crayons, things along those lines. It can be acrylic painting. I know my sister did spray painting a lot, and I noticed she's taken on other facets of artistic abilities as well. And I know, for example, a coworker of mine does like crocheting and knitting, and those are considered positive outlets as well. There's also dancing, and like I said, you don't have to be good at these things for them to be positive outlets for your emotions. You don't have to be good at them. As long as you're doing it and you're putting energy into it, that energy is flowing out of your body and into something else. So that is why I recommend creative arts as a positive, healthy outlet for your emotions. And this is because once those emotions are out of you and you can see it in a physical form, you have that inner peace. You've created that inner peace within yourself. You know, you've seen so many times, or like, for example, Miss Congeniality, when they're asking everybody what their dream is or something, and everybody except for Sandra Bullock says world peace. But people don't realize that you only get peace physically when you have peace internally. So if enough people in society learn these healthy outlets for negative emotions and are able to create inner peace within themselves, then that increases more peace in the physical world. That is why I see emotional well being and emotional intelligence and restoring that within humanity as a, a fantastic aspect of positive change, and one that is manageable, one that is achievable, as long as people are willing to learn these outlets and to not judge themselves if they don't do it well, or not to take on the judgments of others. These are just some things that you have to learn to do for yourself, because ultimately nobody can free your emotions from within you aside from yourself. No one knows what you're feeling as well as you do. And you cannot rely on someone else to be the ball to your bat. You cannot expect someone else to constantly give you a hug and to be there for you when you are feeling depressed, or you had a bad day and your anger is about to burst out of you. You need to be able to love yourself enough to do this for yourself. You have to love yourself enough to be your own emotional support, to be your own emotional catalyst. You have to be able to know, like, hey, this is a really bad moment, and in this moment I feel very angry, so I am going to turn on some metal music, or I am going to turn on some other angry music, and I am going to sing my heart out until I feel better. Or I am going to turn on Bombshell Stop and do some line dancing until I feel better. Or I'm going to do the Cupid Shuffle, or the Cha-Cha Slide, or, you know, the Q-tip, or the monkey, you know. It doesn't matter what other people think. If you are in your own sanctuary, you are in your own calm space, and you can turn on YouTube right there on your TV or your computer and blast this music and sing along or dance to it, or you can turn on nature sounds and paint or write. As long as you are getting out your emotions in this healthy manner that you choose to do, then be happy. Feel that peace. Allow yourself to feel that peace. And don't let anyone else tell you that just because it doesn't sound good or it isn't pretty, that it isn't good for you. Because ultimately, you need these outlets, and the only way that you're going to find peace is if you take care of yourself and you tend to your own emotional needs. So this is my purpose in this lifetime, and why I feel I've learned this at such a young age is so I can work during my lifetime in whatever avenues or opportunities the universe provides me with, that I open the door to, that allow me to work toward this vision and work toward teaching others healthy emotional outlets. It used to be, not used to be, but it still is. I got a vision for creating my own nonprofit a couple months ago, where I wanted to create this nurturing space, like, for long-time survivors like myself. So someone who had suffered the traumas far enough in the past that they're at that stage where they want healing and they want release and they want to move forward in life, having grown from their circumstances. I want to create that space for these survivors, that safe space, that sanctuary for them to learn these creative outlets. So to have paint classes, to have meditation, Reiki, to have singing classes, to have karaoke nights. Like, I want to take this holistic approach to healing and provide that safe space for other survivors. And I also intend to include a garden outdoor as well, to incorporate that grounding and that nurturing that being outdoors and being actually in the dirt can provide for you. So, but I decided a couple months ago that now isn't the time for that, because of the way that the nonprofit system is currently set up. It is very results based and it is very numerical. Like, people only want to give you funding if you can say that, like, say 80% of the people that you've worked with have seen positive growth, or they have moved beyond their traumas in a set amount of time. But everybody is different, and that's not possible. And you can't really take on the weight of other people's healing, because it is a solo journey and it is unique to every individual. And you can't be liable for the weight of their healing on whether they choose to do it or not, because they have free will. And so I have decided not to start this nonprofit at this time until I feel that the nonprofit and philanthropic system here in modern society has improved enough to where this will be an option, even without those expectations of results. I also feel that despite not choosing to do this at this time, that I can still show people how to create this safe space and to work with it themselves, and to know that when they're in that space, they can be vulnerable, they can be emotionally vulnerable, they can do those outlets whether they feel they're good at them or not. So I can teach the importance of creating this sacred space regardless of whether I have started this nonprofit or not. So this is something that I really feel is important, and this is why I am working with you as a survivor of abuse and violence, to let you know that I have been there, and I have had to create that sacred space myself and be willing to be vulnerable. And I've had to accept that I shouldn't judge myself on whether or not I'm good at painting if I choose to do it. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm good at it, but it did. I spent a couple hours painting and I felt a lot better. So it's important for me, as someone who has walked this path, someone who has taken this journey, to show others how they can do it for themselves. How I can be that support, I can be that guide, but I cannot walk that path for them. And that is my purpose behind my visions right now with this channel and with my projects with Survivors with Rhythm. So again, my name is Brianna with Survivors with Rhythm, and I hope you have a very good day.